Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to those also from the western part of the planet, and to those who already it's night. Good evening. Thank you all for joining. And today's session is I'm the one both moderating and presenting. So this is me. So finally, I have my room set up to be able to turn on my camera. And so my name is Michael Olafusi. I'll be the one doing today's presentation. I'm the lead trainer consultant for UrBizEdge and MHS Analytics. And today's session is it's an interesting one. I'm going to be doing I try to avoid pros and cons kind of conversations, but today I will try to explain not a pro and con, but a kind of helping you to get the context right, understanding where Excel shines and where Power BI shines, but still the title is Excel versus Power BI, but not in a type of this is superior to the other, but much more in explaining in what situations Excel is what you will want to use and what other situations will warrant you, picking Power BI over Excel. I hope it will be very interactive. I know not all of us can directly message, but like I told you, I have 3 screens, so I can see if your hands are up. If you want to speak, you can just raise your hand. I'll make you a presenter. And if you are also able to put in the chat, I'm constantly monitoring the chat. So that way, I can always be able to see what you're saying. But I want us to both contribute. And that's out of the way. Who are we? UrBizEdge is a registered Microsoft Excel, financial modeling, business intelligence, data analysis, and enterprise solutions firm. We also now have a sister company in Canada, MHS Analytics. And so this is now a joint program. Let me use that word because very soon we will be having more people also participate in these webinar sessions from the Canadian side of our clientele. So that's why I need to acknowledge that it's not just UrBizEdge, but also the people who engage MHS Analytics. And not to do too much of repeating what most of you have already know about us, but the key thing is we are very big on practical application. So we are very, very focused on data analysis and some select tools, and we try to differentiate ourselves by saying that when you come for a training with us, that should be the last training you should pay for in that thing. You come for our Excel training, you don't have to pay for another Excel training. Not because we expect you to be magicians or be like 100% absorbing all what we teach, but because we keep having programs to help you internalize what you have learned. This is one of such programs. We also have after training support. So we understand that training, the classroom session, the physical contact session or virtual contact person session is just one piece of the entire frame. It's not all that is required to make even the best student, well knowledgeable on what we are training them. There's that aspect of practicing, that aspect of continually refreshing what you've learned. And so we put in a lot more work to make avenues available to our participants to refresh what they have learned, after training support, projects weekly. This webinar is specifically for people who come for our training. We just open it to the entire public. And there are many other things we do, newsletters to let them be abreast of what that is happening. So that's how we achieve it. It's not like we are miracle workers, but we put in a lot of effort to ensure that it's not a one-time transaction you're having with us. We're helping you to keep growing. Okay, so that's the key thing about us, about our training, and we have classes always ongoing. You can always reach out to us. My colleague Tolu, she's chanced. We probably put in our website and our email, and later on too, I can put it in if she's not chanced to do it. But you can always reach out to us, right? Let me just put in our email. You can email us directly at teams@urbizedge.com. And for all your trainings, needs. And you can always visit our website for our calendar. So that is now in the chat box. You will see that. And we're now fully into the special topic of today. So why not Excel and Power BI? That's the other thing. So people will be like, it doesn't hurt. Why not just combine the two? Why do I have to specifically choose between using Excel exclusively or Power BI exclusively? When you are learning data analysis, it makes a lot of sense to want to know, if not master, but at least know all the things that are relevant, all the tools that are relevant for your work line. So yes, if you are trying to learn, obviously Excel and Power BI. But when you are advising or you're in a position to choose what platform to use in your company for some project, it's not always Excel and Power BI. It is Excel or Power BI for most of those kind of situations. So I'm going to try to help us understand, I have some images here to make it a bit more relatable to everyone. Do you want to take a guess which one is representing Excel and which is representing Power BI? Anybody? You can put in the chat box, you can raise your hand, and I will enable you to be able to speak. But who wants to take a guess? I hope you all see my screen. So which of these two cars? So there's a Camry and there's a Ferrari. Which one do you think represents Excel? Which one do you think represents Power BI? Waiting for us. Anybody wants to give it a try? Anybody wants to raise their hands and speak? Maybe what I'll do is, okay, I see answers coming in. I'm going to try to make all of us able to speak. The problem we used to face is some people will, not monitor their mic, and sometimes we get a lot of background noise. And there was a time someone was trying to hijack the session. So that was why we had to make it a default. Everybody comes in as attendee and select who becomes presenter. But for today, I'm going to try to give as many of us that I know your names don't look like you're trying to hack our session. I'm going to make you presenters. But I see answers coming in. Anybody maybe wants to say something, so that it's not just looking like text. I'm the one reading, only my voice is being heard throughout the session today. Anybody wants to just unmute and say one or two things and maybe give a bit of hilarious context to why you think, one is the Camry and the other is the Ferrari. Okay. So Kuban says Excel Toyota. The Ferrari is Power BI. Alfred says the red car is Power BI. The white car is Excel. Tolope says Excel is the Camry. Okay. What if I say you are wrong? Anybody wants to say something? Anyone wants to unmute and say one or two things? Anybody? What if I say there's a prize for someone and say something? Oh, someone says I agree with them. Okay. That's not fair. That's not fair. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, so the word power already makes us see that this red can have more power as in horsepower.
Okay. So what if I said which one is Power Excel and which one is Power BI? That's an interesting take on it. So not to waste too much time, I agree with us all. We are correct. So that's make my job easier. So we are all starting from the same point of view. You all feel that Excel is the Camry. And thank God many of us are Nigerians. Even the interesting thing is the same way in Nigeria we view Camry. It's the same way actually Toyota is viewed, and Camry specifically and Corolla are viewed around the world. So places I go to, I notice it. So when I was in Dubai, I noticed that the people set up these car rentals and who lease out their car. So it's unlike Nigeria where you can just set up your car for Uber and Bolt, and we don't have so much more of an organization owning fleet of cars and maybe partnering with Bolt and Uber. We don't have that much in Nigeria. In Ghana, I think they have that. There's one very well-known company that seems to own the bulk of the cars on board. But in Dubai, they even use Kareem and a few other not so common outside of UAE platforms. And the interesting thing is they seem to all be using Camrys. They seem to be all using, yeah, I think it was even Camry specifically. I wanted to say just Toyota. And I'm sure the reason is because of, the same way we to view Camry, here in Nigeria. So I think it's not just about the picture now, but even what it connotes, when you see someone go out there to buy a Camry, even though he has more money, it's not about the money part. He could afford to buy something flashier. It's also, there are some context that he or she has factored in. So why am I bringing this in? Most times it's not just about the cost. I've seen people who they feel because Power BI is costlier than Excel, then they should go for Power BI. It's more superior. At least when I'm paying more for something, it means I will get more value out of it. It's not always the case. It does the same way. Just because you bought a BMW at twice the price of a Camry does not mean that you will get more from that BMW. In fact, if you live in Lagos, you will get less from it, because you will enter too much problems where the Camry will go and not have issues. You will go and you will have issues. You will just have some problems that is beyond the cost, that extra original money you paid after. You keep paying some more money afterwards. And for some other people, that's the one that they need. They need a Mercedes, they need a BMW. There's something that is more strategic, for them, that those are the only things that achieve it for them rather than the boring, common, reliable Camry. So now let's bring it back to the context of Excel versus Power BI. And by the way, if you want to say something, feel free to interject. I want this to be more like we are contributing and expanding our knowledge, let me put it that way, of context now, because I'm sure we know most of what I want to say, but I want to bring in more context, into it. So let's talk about the different considerations you need to have. Number one is different audiences. So I'm going to put in a lot of real world examples as much as I can, because I believe that that's the only special thing I can bring in that probably is new to what most of us know. So luckily, I've been working on Excel, working in data analysis space since 2011. So it's not so many years. I know people who have been in this industry longer than I've been alive. So I'm not trying to say I've been long in industry, but still in those 10 years thereabout, I've seen some pretty interesting situations. I've seen things that can help me to be able to say with confidence that when you face this kind of situation, these are the usual ways to go about it. So now, when I started my whole data analysis journey it was with Airtel Nigeria. I was working in Conviva. I was doing MIS and data analysis, though my role was MIS and business analysis since executive, but I know I was purely doing data analysis across our operations. So when I say our Conviva's operations in conjunction with Airtel Africa, it's a funny situation. So not to make things too complex, just think of it as I was working with Airtel Africa, because that was the truth. Actually, it's the same parent company that owns the two companies. So I was working with Airtel Africa across their operations in Africa, 10 countries. They were in 10 countries then. I was reporting about the value-added service, a product called CRBT, Coloring Back Tunes. So now, what are the key things I want to bring out? Is the fact that this is a subscription-based service. We had millions, I think at some point over 50 million customers, or subscribers across the continent. So that's a large number. I think 50, but definitely more than 25, It's been some years, so I'm careful not to say the wrong thing, but definitely more than 25. And I really think at some point more than 50 million. And every day I do the analysis of everything that happens, how many subscribers we have, who did what, who bought something, who left the service, how our campaigns, our marketing campaigns doing, the different channels, sales channels, how are they performing? How are we doing against targets? What's the plan? How are we achieving the goals that has been set for the quarter. I create some strategic PowerPoints for the management team for them to do their planning sessions. So it was as data heavy and reliant as maybe any now data analysis role, that you might be doing in a client serving business, So it was Excel I was using. I was using Excel intensely. Yes, Excel that time couldn't handle more than 1,048,576 rows. Now it can. If anybody tells you Excel cannot do some amount of data, it's not correct. The person is outdated on the capabilities of Excel. So it's no longer a matter of one can handle millions or billions and one cannot. Excel can technically handle a billion row. Microsoft told us that the only limitation you face is your hardware. It's no longer that there's a hard limit in Excel on the number of rows. So back to what I want to bring up is the fact that from that company, I moved on to another company, a telecoms company, doing similar thing, but more of automation. And then I started having to use Access and SQL because I needed to work on millions of rows. And then I moved on to consulting. I did a bit of work for different companies, banks, telecoms, projects, some in Nigeria, some in Dubai, some in Ghana, some in South Africa, some in UK, some in US, some in Canada too. And so this is what I want to bring out, right? I've worked across Excel, Power BI. Those are the two key tools I've been using. Sometimes I dabble into Python and other things, but those are the two main tools, to be sincere. I've worked purely as someone doing reporting, worked as someone automating reports that used to exist, one automated, so you click a button and do some things for Huawei, where it was a case of the person who got me into build it was, they wanted to automate reports that used to take long. It used to take a lot of time for a team of 3 people to complete. And so what we wanted to do was just to have something that you click a button, you wait some seconds or maybe max 1 minute, and all that 5 hours report is done in a few minutes, like 2-3 minutes, okay? And then I've also worked in financial modeling where people want to raise money, they want to evaluate scenarios, what the business will perform in different scenarios, purely about planning. I've also done stuff that were for control, QA, QC clients, quality assurance, quality control, where you are talking about optimization, checking out when things, control chart, checking out when things are outside of acceptable reliability figures. And I've also done stuff for HR, done stuff for finance, done stuff for supply chain. So this is it. When it comes to finance, especially planning, scenario planning, financial modeling, even though finance people control the budget, they are not afraid to spend a lot of money on things. Excel still dominates the use that suits them. If you want to create a traditional financial model, you're not trying to do something flashy or something that is kind of newish, but you're doing what people naturally have been using as a financial model, and you want to do it in Power BI, you will. I don't even, all the kind of clients I've worked with, I don't know anyone that will accept that as the outcome they want, because that's not the outcome they want. They want to be able to change the figures themselves. They want to be able to, when 1 year is done, they want to be able to enter figure and say, okay, what we projected as what will happen in 2023 is done. Now, filling in the actuals. I fill it myself. I go and choose best case scenario. I see what happens. I go and choose worst case scenario. I see what happens. I'm able to change things as I want. That full flexibility, they want it. So you build something to them in Power BI and you're telling them that they can't change it. They can't change that. They must enter something in this particular way. They'll be like, this is not, they are not entering a competition. They are not looking for what's the flashiest things. They are looking for what will deliver for them practical usability, and Excel shines in that place, in that case. So for audiences like that, Excel is just for that kind of usage scenario. Excel is the only thing, I've seen my clients. I still built a financial model for a UK firm this January. They were trying to expand. They were in renewable energies, and they were trying to expand. There wasn't like advise us on what to use. It was purely a case of Excel is what you're expecting, and it was never in the conversation in any of my real clients. People who are paying, paying dollars, paying significant amount of money. It was never in the conversation about, somebody told me that we should use Power BI, or we have this new tool. Don't use Excel for me. It was never in that conversation. It was always a given that Excel is what they expect, and they want to be able to own it completely. They don't want you telling them that, you can't change something on this place. You need to connect online to access one particular thing. Someone else needs to, click on something somewhere else. So that's one. Another one, which is interesting, is when your audience, the person you're building this for, is a small company, right? And let me just give you an example. Imagine you run a pharmacy or you run a small grocery, and you're trying to automate things as much as possible. So you've put in place that cashier system, that automated invoice receipt giving and cash collecting, payment via cards and all of it. You made it cashless. Are you going to now tell the person that your store manager or someone who you have hired, that it has to be Power BI they should be using for the daily report of what has been sold in your small store? I don't think that would be practical, because the person is going to do too much work, that it would be like you can't do anything else. So it's better you just employ someone dedicatedly for Power BI. I just know that's what the person is doing and helping you to do Power BI report for your store, right? Or, you do what most people do. They have a very simplified way to connect their data. Excel is also automated. Don't always think that everything you do in Excel doesn't have any form of automation. You can use Excel. I've used Google Sheets for a store before, and the manager could be anywhere he is, and he's seeing how his performance, he's seeing his dashboard, he's seeing everything he wants to see. There is control as much as, and they were happy for 3 years. It's only when the thing breaks that sometimes he messages me if he doesn't know where it has broken, and don't break. And whenever it breaks, it's somebody is entering dash. If you make a sale, if you don't make a sale, something is zero. I tell them enter zero, but sometimes in their mind they feel dash is better. They enter dash, and that breaks the calculation. So that's been the only error I've seen in like 3 years they've been using it. So there are other situations where what is practical and sustainable is for the people to use Excel, even when Power BI is superior. So that's one. But then there are cases where you need to deliberately separate the data input side from the report consumption side. In those kind of situations, right, Power BI is better. So you have people who probably don't even see the end report. I'm in a company, I'm an accounts payable person, I'm a stock person, I'm an HR person. I'm in one role where my role involves ensuring I'm keying in data into the ERP, into some enterprise system. I don't even probably know where it ends up being used. I don't know what kind of combinations are being made with the data I'm entering, but it's required for me to enter them correctly and as quickly as possible, and then we have a proper IT structure that makes sure that all this data are collected correctly, and people who need the data somewhere else, or systems that are built to integrate with those data. You don't want Excel inside that scenario, right? So that's why the more a company uses structured enterprise applications, ERP, CRMs, they want to take out Excel from the picture, because Excel can cause multiple sources of information. Excel does not prevent people from entering information into it, which is a plus when I'm doing financial modeling or doing scenario and optimization stuff, because that's what you want. You want to try out different ideas, or doing some kind of planning, even for budgeting and planning. I don't think people use a Power BI to do their marketing budget, do their sales budget, do their budgeting. It's when it is done and agreed on, they can take it into Power BI. But that process of doing the fine tuning, they don't even use Power BI. Okay, so that's about different audiences, different cost to benefit profiles, and that ties in with audience. Sometimes, just like that small store, the cost of having someone in-house for Power BI, the cost of even owning the Power BI, maintaining it, then the cost of hiring someone that will be more expensive than if you needed someone who could use Excel and still do other things, Power BI has a lot of overhead in terms of expenses, not just the monthly expenses, but also the time. If you are the person paying someone's salary, you will spend more on salaries when you have a Power BI based infrastructure than when you use Excel based, because what the person will do with Excel in 3 hours, the person who will do it with Power BI is going to spend maybe 2 days, right? And yes, the person with Power BI will say, I will automate it, but then it's still on your payroll. You paid him first of all to be able to do it. So you have to get someone who is charging more because he knows the knowledge to do it. And then he's on your payroll. And if he says he's going to be consulting, you'll be paying him part-time. It will still be more expensive than if you paid someone to automate it in Excel and you have him on retainership. So whichever combination of it, cost-wise, Excel is always cheaper when something can be done in Excel and done in Power BI. The only thing is just, okay, it's easier to police people with Power BI. Power BI, I don't need to tell you too much grammar about enter something in this way, don't change this, don't change that, because naturally the reporting side of Power BI, you can't change anything you're consuming. But then, that's purely any company where people don't take instruction. The Excel or Power BI is the list of your problem. Other things will break. So you can't use that as the only major reason why you'll be picking Power BI over Excel. The fact that you can better control what people do. And the funny thing is you control it at the consumption side. At the data entry side, if they keep missing errors at the data entry side, you will face problem whether you use Power BI or use Excel. Then, so the third part is consideration for who the drivers will be. So who are the people who will be utilizing this? That's the other thing people don't take into consideration. I'll give you an example where I'm consulting for a client here in Canada, and a conversation came up, I'll try not to say what might be too confidential, but then I can tell you the core of it. So the HR department wants us to do a training for some people in the HR, right? So when we got talking about, okay, so they came to our unit and said, oh, can we volunteer someone to come deliver a 30 to 45 minutes training on data analysis and all? So at first they didn't say Excel. So in our mind, we felt data analysis. So by the time the conversation happened, they started saying how to sort data, how to do pivot table. We're like, this is Excel you're talking about. They say, yes, we use Excel. So my manager was not like, Power BI is way superior than Excel, and you already have access, you already have license. So it's not a matter of cost. They already have the infrastructure and all, right? In the end, the HR person had to tell us that, see, for the thing we are talking about, Excel is what they can commit to learn. They already have the knowledge of it, one. And also in terms of all the things they do, they don't have the extra bandwidth to start learning Power BI or trying to do something flashier or more kind of with all the bells and whistles that we already associate with Power BI. So as far as the drivers of that particular scenarios were, it was just Excel. They were not going to do a Ferrari. The Camry is what they know how to drive, and that's what they want to do. And as long as it gets them from point A to point B, which is their goal, they are perfectly okay with it. So there are always those considerations too. You will be within a team, and for some people, it's easy. If it's people who they are willing to learn and they are willing to change their behavior, that kind of case, then you will not consider the drivers anymore. You pick purely the tool that is superior. But some other times, even when a tool is superior than another, you will have to still consider that you don't want to build something, help people maybe via training or putting the effort to help them get going. And the moment you get out of the picture, everything grinds to a halt. There's no value in that. That's what people sometimes complain about consultants. They say, oh, they come, they do all kinds of, and they bring a lot of energy, they change everything, change this, change that. And then in the end, they go and everything just goes with them. And you don't want to be like that within your own company, or if you work, well, if you're a consultant, if that's how you make money, that's a good thing. Maybe they'll call you back again, but I don't think they might call you as you again. They might want to call someone else that will leave them a better after tastes. When you eat a food and it's sweet in your mouth and you swallow and it's bitter, or, You know, it's like that when you come in as a consultant, everything is rosy, and when you go, everything is, nobody wants to call you back. So you want to consider who the drivers are. Then the usage environment, right? So the usage environment, what do I mean by that, by usage environment? It's an environment is especially as regards to data analysis, consists of three things, right? Number one is the problem they are trying to solve. There are some problems that it is the best thing to do is just to do VBA. And VBA is in Excel. There's no VBA in Power BI. You know, there are some problems like that. That's just the best thing to do. Just do VBA in Excel, and that solves the issue. I had to do something for a big oil and gas company, you know, one of the biggest. I think they are the biggest in the world. So that to make it easy to let you know the name without mentioning the name, right? And it was Excel, you know, but it was VBA. But he did everything they wanted so well. This was in 2021. They came back again in 2022 and said when they evaluated what went well in their department that 2021, they found out that this particular tool I built for them saved a lot of man hours, got rid of a lot of problem, a lot of embarrassing moments, you know, when you send a wrong notice to somebody else because of something that was broken, you know, got rid of a lot of headache that they said they will rather build on top of it, start thinking of how much more they can, you know, customize it or add more functionality. And then I did another one for them in 2022 it was now tougher because now they kept bringing too many ideas. At first, they were not even sure. So they started with the most wanted, like the basic must-haves. Now they just want everything. So I was overwhelmed. But the point I want to bring out is it was not a cost issue. It was not a case of they even have Power BI internal experts. They have all the resources. So it was not a case of who the drivers are or whether are available. It was just a case of for what they needed, VBA was just the perfect answer. Not just Excel itself. That VBA was the thing that made it that. So we have situations where the environment, what they want to achieve, like I told you, three things, what pain they are trying to solve. Number two is now the usage afterwards. So you could have about cases where okay, I'll give you an example. My second data analysis job, they told me, the hiring manager told me, said that the thing is hiring me, the real reason is hiring me is for some reporting that they need done, that they don't have the budget and the plan to hire people to do. But that is hiring me for, in quotes, in my employment letter, the role that they will put there is what they have allowance to hire for, right? So it means that it's going to give me 2 months. That's what he said. It's going to give me 2 months to try to automate all those reports. And then I cannot be doing the role they hired me for, where more of it and then a mixture of some other analytics role. So in that case, I needed to do complete automation. I needed to do VBA, something that was contained in itself. You don't need some people trying to check. Yes, we say Power BI is fully automated. This is when you will know that automation still requires somebody. It's just like when you say you are driving a driverless car, right? Yes, it's automation, but somebody will still be in driver's seat. You cannot say, oh, because as a company, we're going to use driverless cars for our taxi, we are not going to hire drivers again. You know, so maybe now we're having 500 cars, we don't need 500 drivers. We just need maybe 2 drivers just to, you know, that's not the kind of automation that you will experience. When we are marketing you the tool, that's what maybe you will be alluding to. But when you eventually use Power BI, just because it's automated does not mean you're not going to have someone internally who will have to be monitoring it. And when Power BI refresh fails 3 times, it will just turn off by itself, which is crazy, you know. But sometimes the real automation happens with Excel VBA, because it means, you know, you click a button, it works. If it doesn't work, you will know, and you can reach in my own case, I used to have a support email. You click, you send support or something, and then we support. So we build a program for a client. We are on 6 months support after delivery support, and they can pay for extended support. But the key thing is, when it comes to automation, I truly believe that Excel does a much truer automation if you do VBA and all than Power BI does. What Power BI does as automation is more of a fresh automation, if you truly think about it. But like a true end-to-end automation, Excel, I feel Excel does it more. You know, then you can say, okay, what about the refresh part? But I'm telling you from projects I've done, I've done projects for people where they don't, you know, you're a one-man business person, or you are even doing something as an idea within your team. You don't have the power to make the company give you a dedicated resource for it. You know? And then you come to me, I build you a VBA macro for it, and you run it. It's only when the macro breaks, you come back to me, and sometimes it doesn't break, and they just keep using it for years, and I don't know. But Power BI, there's no scenario I've known where they build a Power BI automation for a company, for a client, and the client does not have any in-house Power BI person. There's nobody in-house that is managing it for them, dedicated to managing it for them. And the thing has been working seamlessly since then. I'm waiting to hear that. If anybody is aware of that, please let me know. You know, you will still need somebody in-house. That is part of his important job, is to keep monitoring it. Okay. So in the end, it is not that one is always better than the other. The context is important. So I'm going to go to exclusive use for Excel, but I want to hear from people, you know, anybody wants to maybe chime in, I'm going to add as many people as possible to presenter, make you presenters ability to talk. But if you want to say something and you see that you have not yet been promoted as a presenter, you can raise your hand. And if you have comments, please feel free, or you've come across something. And if someone said judging by the aesthetics, and you've come across something interesting, so yes, Alfred, please go on. Let me check if I've made you a presenter. I think you can talk. Yes.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, thank you. I actually want to find out to talk more about being able to.
Now your audio has gone off. Alfred, or is it just me? Is anybody else hearing Alfred? Because I no longer hear him.
Sorry, I think my network.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Now you're live.
Okay. So I was trying to say, I loaded 2 tables into Power Query, and I want to pick them back to Excel, and Excel was like, "Oh no, I can't do more than 1.something million row." So all my file could not even be loaded to Excel. So
okay,
how does it work? Because you made.
Okay, great. I've gotten your question. So, okay, great. You know what you're doing, right? I'll tell you how it is the same thing too in Power BI, right? What you're doing is as if, let me see if I have a Power BI open here. Okay, great. I have a Power BI file here. So you see my screen, right? Now, technically, I can load in 3 million, 5 million rows of data in here, and you will see everything, right? But when you do a report, nobody sees this. You don't share a Power BI report with someone and they see this table. They don't see this. What they see, the only thing they will see as your report user are what you put here. So now what you are doing to me is equivalent of you coming to this Power BI canvas and you put a table. You put a table and you want to put that 1 million or 2 million row information here. I bet you nobody will be able to do you. It's impractical, you know. I don't want to say it's not possible because you will, but then nobody will see all those 2 million rows of data. So it's the same thing. Now, what do we do when you bring in all this data into Power BI? You are building, once you bring in the 2 million, let's say it's even a 5 million rows, once you bring it into Power BI, you are essentially building reports, whether a table summary, which can be a pivot table, or you're building charts on top, you're having graphs on top, and that's what the users will consume. That's what Excel to expect you to do. Excel expects you to take that 1 million row data. Let me see if I have an Excel stuff here. To take that 1 million row data that you brought in through Power Query, but you load it into the data model and you go and access it in Power Pivot. Let me see if I can do a demonstration here. I think I should have some data that has 1 million plus rows. Let's try that. Set practice file. Do I have something that is large in size? Okay, good. I have something that is big data. So let's even try it together. So if I try to open this in Excel, let me close this part here. So I'm sure that file has more than 1 million record, and Excel will tell me it cannot open it, right? Yeah, or it will let me know something will happen wrongly. Okay, great. I don't know if you see my screen. Excel says features. That's interesting. So let's leave that. Let me just cancel it. So I thought it's more than 1 million. Okay, it didn't notify me, but it has cut off the data, right? So let's take it into Power Query. Let's do similar to what you did. Then I'll show you how you are actually expected to use it. If you load it into a table directly the way you did, I'm not surprised, it's going to complain, right? But Power BI too doesn't load it into a table for you, for your users. In the end, you end up building a report on it, right? So Excel to expect you to bring it into Power Pivot, then from there take it into a pivot or chart. So let's do the same thing. I'm going to, sorry that my screen might be looking. Let's see if I can zoom. Let's see if I can zoom. Okay, I think this should be a bit bigger for you to see. So let's try it. So I come here. I'm going to go pick that very large data. I think I have it in desktop. I'm going to turn off preview. I think I had it in here. Great. So this is that large data. I say import. Okay. And let's wait for it to pop up. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to say okay. Okay, as usual, Power Query will show you preview, so you might not really know exactly how many rows you have, right? So this is what I'm trying to say. I know for sure that it's more than 1 million in it. So when I do close and load, when I'm going to choose close and load tool. So this is the trick, not a trick anyway. This is what is expected. Choose add this to the data model, right? I'm not going to load it into a new sheet. That's the thing. Either I'm going to load it. Let's even start with what, if you are doing it the way Power BI does, it will be as if you are loading it as a create connection. So once I do that, right, let's see what happens. We will see together how many rows there are, because this will give us the count of rows. Let me see. We are nearing 1 million already. We've gone past 1 million. So you see, we've gone past the limit on Excel, right? In quote, the limit on an Excel sheet. We're even nearing 2 million. This is a good practice data I've picked. Oh, we're above 2 million already. Okay, said an error. I'm sure the error is something somewhere else, but at least you loaded the 2 million, right? So now, how am I expected to use this? You're expected to actually go to data model. It's under data menu, and if you have Power Pivot open too, you can access it if you have the Power Pivot menu enabled. But all of us, we have it under data and manage data models, as long as you're using one of the more recent version of Excel anyway. And then this is it. You will see that I'm seeing the same type of experience, or a very similar type of experience that Power BI gives. Let's take a look at it. This same look a bit to some extent. I'm going to have a similar look here, right? And let's scroll. Let's see if truly I can see 2 million rows here. Can you see I'm seeing 2 million rows here? And there's no hard limit to how many rows I can see here. So this is it. Excel can show you all of that, your data. This is Excel. This is Excel, in case you think it's no longer Excel. This is Excel. And here, and if I have I think I've done about 100 million rows, and I see it still in Excel this way. And this is how Power BI 2 works. So what happens is you create some DAX. You want to create, okay, I want to do sum of sales. I want to do ABC. I can even come here and create a sales amount. So I can say I want to do sales amount, and my sales amount is equal to price equal to price times quantity. Now it's okay. Sorry. Strange. So let me check where my answer has gone. Okay, it's calculating. But anyway, not to waste time, I just wanted you to know that, okay, so it has done it. I'll rename the column anyway. I wanted the column to be sales. So the point I want to bring up is that this is how we use it in Power BI. And so I don't think it's correct if you say Excel is not able to do 1 million because it did not load it into the Excel sheet. It's because they don't, even Power BI 2 does not make you, the user, see that, the end user doesn't see that 2 million record table. So the same way to Excel 2 has a backend, just like Power BI has a backend where you see all those tables and then you build report on top. So Excel 2 expects you to now say, okay, I want to do a report on top, and then I click on I want to do a report. I'm going to put the stuff in here. I'm going to do okay. And then I can start doing, on top of that, my 2 million rows of data. I can start doing the report I want to do, and I can put a chart if I want to put a chart, and everything will be as you want it to be, because in the end too, you are trying to create a report out of that, your data. It's not like you just want to bring it into Excel and be looking at it. So that's my way of answering it. Excel can truly show it. It's just that you have to also use it the way you will have used Power BI, which means you take it to the model side, do whatever modeling you want, bring it back in form of a user accessible report, what the user will consume, and that's it. Okay, any more questions or suggestions from anyone?
Thank you, that's clear. Thank you.
Okay, sir, thank you. Okay, so anybody wants to say something before I move on to the next slide? Okay, so time is almost even really fast spent, but I'm going to quickly wrap up with 2 more slides. Okay, so what are the, let me just check if anybody has put anything in the chat box. When I load, okay. So Cuban is saying, when I load to data model in Power Pivot like you did, then I try to delete it from the data model. I get an error. Model was created with query. Please modify the query and will not let me delete loaded data from Power Pivot. Why is it? Not so sure. Let me try at least I can try what you have said. So we have brought in this data. So you say you want to delete it. If I follow correctly, you want to delete it from the data model. Let's go try that. So maybe I want to delete this from the data model. Delete. So are you sure you want to permanently delete this table, blah, 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 blah? Let's say I say yes. Okay, so I'm seeing what you said. This model was created with a query. Please modify the query and will not let me delete. Okay, so perfect. So now I understand your question. So unlike Power BI, it's good. Me, I'm experiencing this too for the first time because most of the time I don't delete from that place. I know in Power BI, you can come in and hit delete and it will not complain. I could do delete from model and it will not complain, that kind of complaint you got. Okay, so from what you have said and what I've also seen, Excel is expecting us to go and do the deletion, not from here. So I'll probably close this, then I will now go to the Power Query side, since that's what he said. He said this was created from a query, because you can actually bring in data directly into the model side without going through query. I don't know if you're aware of that. I can show you that later too if you're not. But let me just still go ahead to do that deletion, but do it the way that it's expecting us to do it. It expects us to go back to the query side and then do the deletion from here. So it expects you, but thank you for answering the question. So now, you know, in case somebody reach out to me and say, I'm having that problem, I will know instantly, you know, what the case is and tell them what to do. So this is where it expects me to do the deletion from. So if I delete from here, I'm not going to have a problem. See, do I want to delete? It's gone. And it will be gone from that other place. And yeah, I hope I don't save it. No, discard. Okay, so thank you for bringing that. How can someone into this workspace understand more? Okay, thank you, Chinaza. I'm going to come to that at the end. So let me just quickly try to wrap up by going through my other prepared slides. So what are the exclusive use cases for Excel? All right, so when do you want to buy a Camry? Even when you have the money to buy a BMW or a Ferrari, you know, why we used to pick a Camry. In the Nigeria of today, you don't want to be driving a Ferrari because you will just become an easy target for people who are looking for people to grab money from. But let's put that aside. Let's just even think about it in a situation where it's not a security risk is the main reason for it. So I've told us that in cases where users need to input data, Power BI is out of the question. For me, financial models are the traditional, let me use that word, the traditional financial models are one common scenario like that. You know, people I build financial models for, they want the full thing in that Excel file handed to them. They want everything as something that you hand over as one outcome that they can keep using, and then they can change things as their business evolves. They can change scenarios, change figures, you know, just do what typically they want to do in their business and see the outcome, because that's the essential reason anyone is doing financial model, apart from those that are doing it just to hand over to a bank or to give it to a VC company as a checklist to tick. Or people genuinely doing it as part of a planning process. They want to be able to modify things. Okay, so Excel, very good. Power BI, not so good for those scenarios. Number two is when you want to have elaborated scenarios, you want to be able to have best case scenario, worst case scenario, base case scenario. You want to be able to create, yeah, scenarios is just the word. There's no other word for it. Some people will tell that, yes, you can do what if analysis in Power BI, you can do scenarios in Power BI. It's still limited. You will have to preset the range of options. You know, in Excel, it's not limited by anything. The person can even type rubbish. You know, type something you never expect. Let me use that word. In Power BI, they must type what you expect and have set into the what if analysis that exists in Power BI. And it's not even in my, if you ask me, it's not a fully, that what if analysis is not as robust as what I'm able to achieve in Excel, apart from even that you need to have an idea of what to expect them to type in and create a range of value for them. So that's another. And usually process optimizations are a lot easier to do. Anybody selling process optimization templates and all, I've never come across one single template like that in Power BI. But Excel optimization templates galore. So I've mentioned traditional financial modeling, single user situations. I'm a one-man business. I'm just using as an example. I'm a one-man business. I'm not a one-man business, but I'm using as an illustration. I'm a one-man business, and I want to be able to track my company expenses, my operations, my, you know, everything I'm doing. Maybe I'm a consultant. You know, I want to log my hours, see how much I'm expecting, be able to do, at least see all those important things in my business in one. Let me not use the word in one place. See those things, right? For a single user situation, Excel in most cases is just the best thing to just use, because there's nobody you are shouting on that, please don't enter this data, don't change my sheet here. You are the one. If you like, you go and change it there. is what if you just maybe you give yourself a knock on the head then. But you don't face those kind of situations where someone in Power BI has already figured out that the people entering the data are separate from the people building the reports, are separate from the people sometimes using the report. In this case, when all those three people are the same person, then Excel is just as good as Power BI, if you ask me. Small businesses with small budgets for both setup and skilled staff, I already explained this. Anybody using Power BI for a company, as a company, right, should just start having budgets to have a Power BI staff. When I say Power BI, dedicated staff for Power BI. Whereas if you're using Excel, you can just tell somebody to add it as part of his work. And but depending on if the person is not already overworked, it might be manageable. But Power BI, there's nothing like add it to your work. Even if I'm not overworked already, Power BI will overwork me. So that's how the things that can break in Power BI. Power BI is very finicky. Maybe that's why Ferrari is very good to use as an example. The kind of things you will do to your Camry and get away with it. You won't do it to a performance-tuned vehicle like Ferrari or all those high-end vehicles and get away with it. You will not. So, you get the idea. Then there is the almighty VBA that makes Power BI not to have an answer for Excel in some situations. In most times, you can always say this is possible in Excel and Power BI. Sometimes you can't even say it's possible in Power BI, and that's usually weird when you are talking about things that VBA can do. And then when it comes to templates for decision makers, you want to build a template for someone to use, it's just do it in Excel and let their life be easy. You go and do a template for someone in Power BI and say, okay, I've built you this template to help you to manage your logistics, your supply chains in Power BI. The problem they were facing before, you have made it +1. So that problem will still be there. Power BI we have to eat as another problem they are facing. That's the usual. In principle, it's supposed to be a solution, but in practice, it will be a problem, except they now have somebody in-house permanently to be driving it. Then it can become the solution that you have explained it to them as. Okay, so what about the exclusive use cases? It's as if I've been talking to Bash Power BI. Yes, because when you are comparing a Ferrari and a Camry, you don't need to talk too much to make it look like the Ferrari is better than the Camry. Now you have to talk so much to make it look like the Camry is not always as bad as people think it is. So that's what is happening. So it's not like maybe Power BI is useless or it's not. It's just the hype. It's just a case of letting you understand that it's not just the fact that something is technically superior doesn't mean it is in all use cases the superior choice. So now what about the cases where Power BI is the superior choice? Awesome. So now let's go. When it's an enterprise grade, my teeth wants to fall off. Enterprise grade use cases, in those enterprise grade use cases, Power BI is just the best thing. You are a company of dozens, hundreds of staff. You have already invested in enterprise tools. You have CRM, ERP. Then why will you want people to be doing reports in Excel again or be housing data in silos in Excel? It's a problem. It's a risk. It's not just even problem in terms of performance. It can be a risk in terms of everybody's having different reports because somebody changed his own. Whereas in Power BI, if we make an update, the update will reflect in everybody's report copy. I don't have to start emailing and say, oh, disregard the previously sent Excel report. This is the updated and valid one. In Power BI, there's no fragmentation. There's always one report. There's always one valid copy at a time. There's never multiple copies of the same report at the same time. So that's one thing that makes Power BI like a must use in those enterprise situations. Then when you want proper data governance, in Excel now, I've seen cases, can it happen? Even me that I'm talking, it's not like maybe I'm not guilty, but at least I'm not malicious about it. So I've seen cases where, people, I'm in finance departments. They move me to logistics departments, right? My Excel reports, I carry it with me. Not that I carry it with me as like I keep doing them, but I still have access to them because they are Excel. They are still in my computer. I did not delete them, right? But Power BI, they move you from finance department to logistics department in a properly design Power BI report, they will remove you too. At the moment they change your access group, your access directory groups, right? You will stop having access to all those finance reports. You will start seeing only logistics reports. So proper data governance. You're able to audit who has access to what, not just audit, but ensure that people only have access to what they should have access to. Just because I called you and say, oh, Jide, you are very good with this thing. Please come and help me with this, my Excel stuff, because that happens a lot. MD, director, manager, we call someone junior and say, please help me with this chart. And in the process, the team was taking too much time. Be like, see, I'm in a hurry, please just let me email it to you. When you do it, send it back to me. In quote, now that staff now has access to something you should never have access to. But in Power BI, it can be managed because it's just the way it is. Proper data governance is possible in Power BI. It's not possible. Just forget about it. It's not possible in Excel. Separation of report builders from report users. Again, in a company, that's usually what exists. The people who are building stuff most times are different from the managers consuming it. Managers are supposed to manage and do strategic stuff, not be building reports. If you're a senior management person and you're building reports, you will notice it in your performance. That's the time you could have spent to do more strategic things is draining. You won't be a high performance manager. A high performance senior management person is not supposed to be building the reports, So it's an understandable thing. So it's even the expected. It's not a matter of like you're changing people. You're making things to be the way they should be. And in most cases, report users are different from report builders. Even in departments, there will be people who will build, there will be people who will consume. And so Power BI enforces that and helps to properly ingrain that. There is no report fragmentation. You don't have cases where. So Cuban is bringing out a comment. So Excel shines in financial modeling with dynamic inputs, whereas Power BI is analysis and presentation of presets data sets. The only thing I disagree with is presets. Preset doesn't mean that the data will be dynamic. It just means that nobody can just go on your Power BI report and start saying, I want to change interest rate from 1% to 5%, and is able to do it whether you have planned it that way or not. Whereas in Excel, yes, they can achieve, and that's what people want to be able to do in financial modeling. Okay, so no report fragmentation, single source of truth. You can do report automation end-to-end, which in some ways you can in Excel, but here it's the expected way, So you automate the data modeling side. You publish the report. You set automated refresh. It refreshes maybe twice a day. So that's it. And if you're lucky that people don't, which is what is problematic. For me now, I'll show you a report I've built. There's a report. There's a dashboard that I have that I built, I think it's now 4 years ago. I wanted to say 3 years ago. Last year it was 3 years ago. This year now it's 4 years ago. This Power BI report, I designed it, I built it 4 years ago. Every day it's still working. This is the height of automation. By itself, it's still populating. Automatically, I can see it's showing me as at 15. This always shows me as at the last date. I mean, 1 day behind. It is always working. And this thing is picking data from SQL. That is scrubbing data from NSE Stock Exchange. It's also bringing data from the NSE. Connected to some Python scripts. The data that you are seeing here in one view is coming from, like, not over exaggerating if I say it's coming from more than 20 different data sources, right? So Excel, I don't think I will have built this, even though I know how to use Excel. I've done some part and pieces of this, but this one you are looking at, this no way. I'm not even going to want to attempt to build it in Excel because it's just going to be maybe not even possible, and it will be way stressful. Even the parts that are possible is going to be more stressful to design. So why am I bringing that? There are some cases where when people it's just that it's not common for companies to have static processes. Things will always change in companies. So that's why sometimes Power BI will still break where you need somebody internally to be monitoring. But in cases where everything is 100% automated, there's no way of something breaking. Even in my own, sometimes it broke. when the particular website change the way they store their data, when NSC change something. So occasionally it breaks. So it's still the same thing anyway. But when it works beautifully. That's just the key thing anyway. So the automation can be much more beautiful and look, more seamless than in Excel. Let me put it that way. Separation of data input and reporting. Yes, I mentioned it. Integration with data warehouse and other data management best practices. This is the baba of them all. Anywhere where they start talking about data warehouse, just understand that first of all, one of the things that needs to go into the bin is Excel. So Excel reports, they want to take them away out completely, because when you say Excel and data warehouse in the same sentence, it is either one goes for the other. It's either you are going to do data warehouse and rely less on Excel and take away people using Excel. They should go and download the Excel from the outcome of the reporting tool. Not that the Excel will become part of the integral or primary tool to be used in the process. So anyway, this is the end of my presentation. I don't know if anybody has any questions. And as regards what Chinas has said, that he or she is just joining us newly, how can someone new to this workspace understand more? I'm going to share, we have a group. So what that means is, it's not just by luck or by coincidence that everybody's gathered together today. There's somewhere where we have as a central point where you get to see all the activities. You sign up here, and what will happen is you will always get the details of the events that are happening, what topics, access to previous sessions, the main community page. So if you are here too and you are not part of that, you will get reminders. So every week it will send you reminders of the event, the speaker and session that is happening next. So I advise you to join this. I'm also going to share with us the YouTube. So for previous sessions, all the previous sessions are accessible on YouTube. This one will also be on YouTube. Okay, so any other questions from anybody before, or contribution? Doesn't have to be a question. It could be something interesting you've come across that you want to share, or something you think I've said that is not completely true, or a diverging opinion. It could be a contribution. Okay, so Emmanuel says, good day, good day all. Hello, Mr. Michael Olafusi. Emmanuel Lusonya, first time in this. Welcome. A big thank you for the opportunity to learn a world-class tech skill like data analysis. I hope to learn a lot and keep learning even after this course. Please, I'd like to confirm if I'm actually at the right place, because I must confess the whole of this class has sounded more like jargon to me than being clear. I'm a beginner and all this seems overwhelming. Awesome. The same thing I said applies to your question. So you are correct that this is as if you entered the class middle. It's as if you joined a university course at 300 level. So you know how it would be like, what is happening here? That's exactly what you're experiencing. So join this community. I've shared the link. Also, go on our YouTube. In fact, subscribe so that you can easily be notified. Okay, I think I've sent the wrong link, or maybe it's the correct link, but I'll share another one. So I'll just share the one that takes you to the home page. This one seems to take you to one specific video. So I'll share that one. You come here, you join, you see we have over 550 videos. So that's what I mean by when you do training with us. The class training is not what you are in quote paying for. You are actually paying for a guarantee that you will have all the resources and push to master that thing. The only way you will not master it is when you yourself say, I give up. I cannot follow up with all the resources and content these people are giving me. I want to have other lives. I don't want to do data analysis again. I want to become a pilot. I want to become a nurse, like healthcare people. So I'm just saying that we don't leave you alone. Like Liverpool or what's that football club that's we are never alone. We keep inundating you with resources and opportunity to practice and improve. And summary of it is this is the place where all of those content we house them so that even when you can't catch up with our live sessions, you have one place you can go at your own convenience and look at where am I weak. Let me go through this content and improve. And those who have taken our trainings, they get practice, they get tasks every week. So again, that one helps them. They can do the task, submit, they get some grading. So any other question? Because I look at the time and I'm now 30 minutes ahead of time. Yes, someone's hand is up, please.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, Sir Michael.
Yes, sir, Mr. Victor.
Well, yeah, thank you. I'm actually a beginner, so and today is my first time joining this meeting. Well, about the link, I can't see it on the chat. So, yeah, and thank you.
How do we remedy that? When you say you can't see it on the chat, can you even see the chat? Can you see anything in the chat? So let's even start from there. Is anybody
I can
else?
see the last message. Thank you by Kuban.
Oh, okay, that's good. At least you can see something in the chat. Let's now see what can be the. Okay. We see thank you by Cuban. Let's look for where that is. But the same Cuban has verified that you can see. Okay. Oh, maybe this is what you see. And there have been other chats after. I know the solution. It's a very simple solution. If you disconnect from this call and you rejoin, so because of you, I can wait 2 more minutes. If you disconnect and you rejoin, it will happen. It's a bug. It's something that even in Microsoft, when we're having meetings with Microsoft and this happened, that's the same thing they will tell you. They will say, okay, disconnect and rejoin.
Okay, I actually disconnected and rejoined back.
Okay, are you seeing it now?
Let me see.
In the meantime, anybody also wants to say anything? Because I want to.
No.
You're still not seeing it.
Yeah, I don't know how to fix it from my own end.
Okay, this is what I'll tell you to do. If I put it in the chat box, you don't see it again. I'm going to put my email on screen. So if you email us, I will just send you the link as an email. So I'm going to write the email address. So you have to just note it. I hope you still see the screen, right?
Yeah.
So if you can just send an email, it doesn't matter what you write in the body, just give me the links. Yeah, that's enough for me to know what to send to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so thank you to everyone. And this, okay, yes, if I pronounce the name, Kumafan, please, yes.
Okay. So you reside in Canada, right?
Yes, currently.
Yes, someone told me that for data scientists, there isn't much opportunity in Canada. Is that true?
That person lied to you. And it's not small lie, it's big lie. It's a giant lie. Okay, maybe that's a rude way to say it, but it's not true. That's what I want to say. Like it's by far not true. Let me use that word. Like if the opportunities in Nigeria is like this, it's like maybe we give a number to it, it's like 10. In Canada, yeah, it's like thousands times that 10. So it will be like 10,000. Let me use that word. So the opportunities are enormous. That's the right word to use. So please don't, except if the person is giving you a context, or if we are saying it within the context of opportunities for data scientists, is that the very word you use?
Yes, it was in a discussion about data scientists.
Okay, opportunities for data scientists. Yes. If that is it, and there's no other context, maybe the person is saying maybe in a restaurant or they are not putting any context to it, but just opportunity for data scientists in Canada, it is a lot. The current company I'm consulting for, it's amazing how many business analysts. Now I understand why people are doing business analysis when they want to travel out of Nigeria. In Nigeria, you don't see them because what happens is what a business analyst will do they will have already bundled in with the job of the technical person. Maybe I'm a data analyst, like in Nigeria now. It's just now I'm understanding that the jobs that I've been doing for clients, consulting, because I'm actually also consulting for this Canadian company. We should have a business analyst who is going to be in between, who will verify what's the business people are asking us to build, and validate that this is exactly what it is, do the scoping and all. And so that when I'm doing it, I know that this is what I'm doing. They are not changing things in and telling me that this is not what they said, this is what they said. So that person is the one who takes the hit, who tells them that no, this was what you said. I have the evidence. It forces them to, and then it's always, it looks like if I'm the employer of labor, I probably will be preferring to hire the one person and let him do the job and also verify what to get, rather than having an extra person to be verifying. But what I'm trying to say is, I see a lot of business analysts, like companies understand it as something that they should have. In Nigeria, we don't see it as a necessity, except maybe companies that understand best practices and deliberately want to do it. So business analysts, plenty of opportunities. Data scientists, so back to what I've in my team, small team, there are two of us that are Power BI. Maybe let's say there are two of us. Let me say not my small team. Two of us are Power BI. There are 2 data engineers. There are 2 business analysts. So you can see the number, the ratio. The ratio is, the one does not look more than the other. If you even ask me, I could even say there are 3 business analysts. The business analysts even seem maybe more. But what I'm trying to paint is the picture of, they don't do what we do in Nigeria, where they will just load one person with too many job roles in quotes. They are okay with hiring different people to do different things, even though they know in quote, or there are situations in quote where one person could have done 2 roles. And when it comes to data scientists, they don't skip on it. They hire it, even companies that you think don't even need data scientists. So that's my answer.
Well, I guess he is a resident in the US and he was just trying to pull the side. I guess so. But I hope to be in Canada later in the year. I'll check things out myself.
Someone is even welcome. In fact, if you that email I shared, maybe I'll just put my email to. If you want to personally reach me too, you can reach me. Anybody too can reach me. The only problem is I'm not very good at replying emails, and it's not a thing of pride. It's just a matter of I'm overwhelmed, and sometimes it's the one that the house is burning that I might reply faster. But eventually, I try to reply in the end. So someone is even saying, even in the UK, the opportunities are a lot. So see, the accounting in UK have gone beyond debit and credit, and is a system accountant that is now a hunting. See, so it's even also mentioning that the same way I said business analyst and data science. So I think whatever it is that in this technology space that there is job opportunities for in Nigeria, in all these developed countries, it is times 100 the opportunities are more, because they take technology as a very, very serious thing. Okay, Kuban sent me a connection. I'm going to accept that one. Yeah, it's easy for me to accept LinkedIn connection. I even love it. Maybe I will share my LinkedIn account in case other people too want to connect. That one is the easiest thing for me to do. Email is a bit tougher because I have to now craft the email response. By the time I'm crafting it, I will now remember one customer that's expecting me to send the invoice. I've not sent. I will not be like, I've not sent the invoice. I'm replying email. Let me quickly go and do that one. Before I do that, I remember that there's another customer that said, I've not finished one job and they will not pay me balance until we fee. So LinkedIn connection easiest to do. That one is just click a button on my phone. Okay, so thank you everyone. I'm going to end the session now. And I see someone's hand is up, I guess. Caleb, you've not said anything. I don't know if Victor is having something new to say, but Caleb, yes, you can unmute and say something. Caleb, we are not hearing you.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Thank you. So, you made mention of, okay, first of all, I'm actually a first-time listener.
Welcome.
You made mention of your training. So I wanted to get more information about the training.
Okay, so for that one, the easiest way, so I don't turn this to adverts and like make other people suffer by hearing the same thing over and over. The easiest way is two things. Number one is you can easily email us. Let me put this email too. And we'll send you the calendar. But I think since you say you want more information, even before you now email and say, oh, this is what you want more details on. This at the website, we try to put in a lot of information to make it easy for you to even know if our training is the one you want, or maybe we do what you are interested in. And then secondly, when you now want more details about maybe price and calendar dates and all, then it will make more sense when you email to be like, oh, this is what you want. Then we'll just give you more direct details about how to go for what you want. But the website might be a lot easier at your own convenience to just get all the details that you will need to decide it. Thank you. And Victor, is your question a new one or it was the other one?
No, it's actually a new one, but I
Okay.
just wanted to differentiate between data scientists and analysts. So I'm always like confused. Are they not doing the same thing? No.
I don't, but what I will tell you is not authoritative. I can tell you what a data analyst do because that is who I am. Okay. So data analyst, when you are hired as a data analyst in a company, because you can also be a data analyst in a university, in an NGO, when it's a for-profit company that hires you as a data analyst, I can tell you that a lot of times what you'll be doing is you are supporting the business users, the business. Let me say business users. Sometimes it could be management, and what's that short way to write management, etc. Especially non-technical people. Let me use that word. Non-technical people. We are supporting them with reports. Let me close this. With reports and analysis. It can end in Excel, it can end in Power BI, it can be a combination of any of those, and PowerPoint, can be Tableau, can be anything, but the key thing is the fact that it is going to be used by non-technical people. Now, when we talk about data scientists, in fact, for me, I've been seeing fewer roles that are strict, that are called data scientists. What I now see is data engineer. So maybe nowadays people are no longer hiring people and calling them data scientists. They are looking for more specific outcomes. So nowadays I see data science, AI engineer, I wanted to say data warehouse, this thing too, but usually the data engineers will make them do that too. Then let's just put them there too. So let me not complicate things. Let's just leave it at what I'm very certain. So nowadays people don't hire because this sounds very broad. But what is peculiar to them is that they provide outcomes that, or they do things that feed into other technical people's processes. If you're a data engineer, there's nothing you will do that will directly be consumed. You might not even have to send emails to management. Except, I don't know, I've not seen a situation where the data engineers are doing anything that is directly consumed by management. They're either building pipelines, building, automating processes, doing Python scripts, doing some data warehousing stuff, things that will be used by data analysts. That's the interesting thing. So the outcome or they do is what me as a data analyst will pick up. Then my own reports go to business users. So that's the, for me, that's the way I see it in the real world play out. That these guys, they're a bit more back-end compared to data analysts. So, and you need to know how to do coding. You can't call yourself a data engineer and you'll be saying it's Excel, Power BI is what they expect you to do, a higher than average level of SQL, of Python, of scripting, understand Azure and AWS much more than a data analyst would. So they expect you to know very much on cloud engineering, cloud platforms, and all of that, coding related stuff. Whereas for a data analyst, I can get away with not even knowing any of those things, and just be good in Excel and Power BI and what there's maybe PowerPoint. Okay. So that's my own answer. If someone else has, something to add, to amend, please, you can before I close the session. Okay. We've been connected since 2015. That's interesting. I have to go look you up. No share the video that might help with the difference. Okay. I think you said you shared something. It's not showing. You share it as a link. You said visual, so I'm guessing it's an image, right? But unfortunately, it is not showing in the chat. I don't know why. It's not clicking. Let's see. No idea. But thank you to everyone. I'm going to end the session now because I still have a repeat of this session in about 30 minutes. So this same thing we've done, I'm going to be doing it again, but I'm doing it for the Power BI community. So today we didn't get as many speakers, so I had to do 2 sessions, do this Excel, do Power BI. So I'm going to need to end this one, rest a bit. I'm just sharing a link in case anybody joined late and you want to, partake from the start. Then this will be an opportunity to hear it and hopefully maybe hear other people's opinion too in that session. So thank you to everyone. And at this point, we are going to end the webinar and we hope to see you next week. This happens every week. Even when we don't have guests, we don't cancel. Like today, while I'm presenting, all of this started from Thursday. We found out that all the people we had already bookmarked and scheduled for today, something just happened. Some are no longer available. Some said they didn't know it was this week. It was that one was on our own part, that we had booked them for some different dates. But what I'm trying to bring up is we don't cancel. The only one we don't usually do every week is the financial modeling one. And that's because it's a specialist field. So it's very difficult to get a speaker every week for financial modeling. But for the Power BI and the Excel, we always have speaking sessions. And if you want to present, please, we're always in search of presenters, and we are not all big on that it must be technical. You can come and talk about something soft skill. Need presenters. Without presenters. Email to volunteer as a presenter. And we always give our presenter certificates. We try to nominate them for awards, so it's something that also lets you to have, because this thing is a public platform, so it makes it easier for you to have a verifiable portfolio. You yourself can share the link of your session. You can say, oh, I have spoken at a session, and it's nobody will look at you. Let me show you. Nobody will look at you speaking to a group that has over 5,000, and we still doubt your presentation portfolio work. Let me put it that way, So it's a very good way for you to begin to have some visibility, So some people, this person can decide to grab his link and share with someone else or another community and say, oh, see, I've presented here before, and this is my body of work. So it forms part of your body of work that is verifiable. And if you are putting in for awards like Microsoft MVP, this is what they want the most. They want all those ones where they can see a link and they can see that the community has a lot of members. they believe that is more genuine, and that cannot be fake compared to when we are sharing them screenshots and WhatsApp message. And so I'm just saying that there's benefits for all parties involved. Audience will benefit from your knowledge. We will benefit from the fact that we're having a plurality of speakers. It's not just same faces every day. And you too, you will benefit from, the joy of sharing your knowledge, see people gain from it, and also having a portfolio of your speaking engagements. I've seen people who, when they're applying for all these special visas or some jobs, this is what differentiates them, apart from the certification everybody has, apart from the bachelor's and MBA and all those things. The thing that is something that is like you created a content, you spoke to an audience, you did a technical presentation. That one now becomes something that not everybody has, and then it stands them apart. So please, we are not choosy. We are all learning together. So there will be weeks when we've had somebody who is 19 years old who started learning data analysis just the year before, and he presented to us. And you know what? In his own session, we had maybe like 80 people. Yes, it's not like we know that it's not like a pro expert, but it was nobody felt that way or treated him that way. Everybody were praising him for what they learned, because we learned. It wasn't like he taught us something that we all knew. It was something relatively new that not so everybody knew. So we are not going to be asking you to send us our CV, send us your CV, or be trying to saying that you are not up to a particular type of person we are looking for. No, that you volunteered is the only thing that we need, and you are going to make it now. Be present for that session. That's all. If you make all the mistakes, we are like your brothers. Just as if you are presenting to your family members, we will all bear the mistakes with you. So hopefully you will come back another time. That's what has happened. So people felt their presentation was not so very good, and then they say, "Oh, can I come back to do another topic?" Thank you very much. Please do come back. So please, we are not judgmental. We want everybody to learn by participating, learn by also presenting what you know. And that's how you know something well, when you teach others. They might gain a portfolio of work that can be useful for you in the future. So thank you very much. And I'm going to say bye-bye to everyone and see you again next week. Bye. Thank you.